terms of, it was like beginning sounds and blending and segmenting. So what would happen is that Courtney will do phonics for his 15 minutes, but as before I do my guided reading, I would do my segmenting with them. And based on the segmenting, whatever was in the words, whatever was in the book are the words that I would use. So that was like 2 rounds of phonics. And then if I wasn't doing segmenting, then Courtney was doing guided reading, and he would make sure he would focus on the different sight words that they would need. So it's just back and forth. And if we saw that the need of a child was not well in that group, then we'll just switch them. And also Courtney and I would just like, so we talk across the classroom. So whatever strategy will work, and so we'll say, hey, Miss S, what should I do here? And then I'll tell him and then say, hey, Miss S, you should do that with your guided reading. So we talk constantly back and forth. It's probably inappropriate, but it works.
Whatever works. Whatever works.
Thank you for sharing, Marsha.
Very, very similar. Like, I feel like a lot of it for me and Rihanna is like a lot of integrated planning together. So, for example, with her, she does a quick hit of phonics right before she does guide reading. So she just practicing a lot of the words that are connected to the book, and I might do the vice versa. So I might spend some time with sight words at the end, depending on the group. And then of course sight words might be related to between the books that I'm using and the books that she's using, so it comes like a double hit, so they'll see it when I read it with me and they read it with her. I do like bi-weekly assessments for phonics, so a lot of times, like if I know certain kids are struggling with letters, I will tell her ahead of time, so like she'll try her best to fit a book that's connected to those words or letters that I've told them that I set them on. And we both annotate, so like sometimes depending on what the day, we'll share really quickly for the next day. So like, this is, we totally thought this was gonna work, but it didn't. We'll like kind of keep it moving, kind of like a flow to kind of change whatever's necessary for the next day. So it's pretty much a lot of talking, a lot of communication, like really closely planning together.
And I think that after talking to both classrooms, I think that was the common trend. So not that people aren't talking to the other person in the room, but they have a very clear picture of what successes and failures kids are feeling in both groups. All right, so thank you guys. Shine to you all. I just have some, so between Thursday of last week and today, I kind of did like a mental literacy snapshot in my head. So not like the full blown, all 4 of us come into the room to kind of give feedback, and so I just wanted to give some overall feedback on the block. So in terms of our phonics teachers, you guys really took the feedback from the snapshot. So you can see in here, like there's tons of anchor charts, lots of hand movements with songs. The word sorts are aligned. I just want everyone to just shine yourself. I think we did go through a period of like not knowing which word sorts to pull and just pulling ones that kind of match step but didn't necessarily match what the kids need. So the word sorts are aligned. And it seems like the kids are very much in a rhythm or routine. Like they're taking a spelling test on Friday that's not just aligned to Reading Street but also aligned to what they need. In terms of adjusting feedback, the biggest thing that I did see was that there's not enough time being spent on direct instruction. So while we are giving kids the word sorts, we're not. So did you erase your table from earlier? Yeah. Oh, okay, it's okay. So today I watched Addie teach King E. So she taught them like how you know if a word has a King E, how you pronounce it, and she spent a few minutes on that, which was really good. Some people are just putting the word sorts out and kind of telling kids to sort, but explain to them, how do you know this is a King E? What does this mean for the word? And how do I recognize if it's a King E word or not a King E word? So just be very mindful of, you have to have direct instruction as well as the work time of them sorting their words. Okay, so guided reading. This was one thing that I hadn't really thought of, so shine to you all because I just saw it. A lot of our guided reading teachers, I think because of a shortage of books, started grabbing different types of text. So Margaret had like printouts of stuff that she found from the internet. I've seen kids in newspapers, just different types of text aside from books, which is really, really good because at the end of the day, they have to be able to not just read books, but all types of text. And I saw that in a few classrooms. Anecdotal notes, yay! And I saw different types of anecdotal notes. I remember, I feel like Marja kind of giving me the feedback of
Postmates.
Yeah, Post-its. Like, does it have to be in a notebook? And I'm like, no, like, whatever it is, just make the notes for you and then use that the next day when you're teaching. So the anecdotal notes look different across our school, but people are taking notes on what it is that kids are doing. Reading strategies, Marsha, Robbie, people internalize the PD and they are using more reading strategies and teaching them in a more creative and fun way. Kids know their goals. So I ask kids, what step level are you on? What are you working on? Kids in Ayan's room, she was telling them, like, you were at 98% yesterday, you're at 94% today. So we're communicating with kids where they are and how they got there. And then Camille's not here, but kids also know their accuracy rates. They know their times, they know how they're getting there, they know what time they had the day before. So it seems like I think we had a shift. Like, we were invested, but the kids weren't really invested. And it's very obvious that they are now. All right, adjusting feedback, just make sure that the text types are aligned. So it is great if you go pull a newspaper, but we don't necessarily know if that is, you know, the level that they're on. If they're just picking out sight words from the newspaper or whatever, that's totally fine, but just making sure that the text that we are putting in front of them are at their instructional level. And then this is a whole group push, and I saw it today too, was just every kid should be learning at all times. So if they're in trouble, they can't just be sitting on the carpet not doing anything. And you all know that I'll give them a book or give them a text, but if they have to take a time out, that's fine, but they shouldn't be punished from learning. So can we agree that we will not put a kid in time out or have them take a break without a text? Same thing for math. If they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing in math, they still should have some counters or a worksheet or something because they still should be learning. So can we make that agreement that we're going to stop doing that today? Okay. All right, cool. So that was just overall feedback from the literacy block. So I sent you guys a calendar invite. Robbie and Marsha kind of led a PD that's opening the doors for more PDs that we're going to have on reading strategies. And you all were supposed to bring evidence of strategies that you all gained from Robbie and Marsha or just other strategies that you've been using that have been working. So we're going to use this time to share. Addie, do you want to go first?
Sure. Do you want me to explain that?
Yeah.
Okay. So today I talked to Leah and she said work on the key E because I was going to do R control valves and she said no, they need to key. So I switched it for today. Sorry. And so at first we talked about what a king E is. I had them look around the classroom and see if they could find words. And some of them knew kind of what it meant and some of them didn't at all. So I started with a word and I explained the word and then had them think of words and wrote all of their words on my table so that they could see it and actually put the crown on over the E and then underline the vowel and had them say how it says its name and all that. And then once we went through that for a while, I gave them a book and they looked through the book silently to see if they could find the words that have the king E, and then we read it aloud. I would just have them popcorn read aloud, so I would call on one person, another person, and they would, from their page, read it, and then tell me what words had the king E, and then explain how the vowel sounds. And so, yeah, I did that with a couple of my groups, and by the end, they could understand what a king E meant and how they could find it in a book, because I think for a lot of them, they were trying to tell me the letter sound, but didn't realize, like for A, you know, it's having the vowel say its name, and so explaining that, but having a visual on the table, I think, helped. So.
Cool. Thanks, Ashley. I also want to say I didn't do a good job of framing this. The reason, I know I sent you guys a Cal invite last week when we were initially going to do this, but the reason that we're doing this is because when I did walk through all the classrooms, I was like, oh my gosh, people are doing amazing stuff and it's all so different. So we do need a space to kind of share what everyone is doing because people have kind of done their own independent research. All right, Chris, want to go next?
So in this picture, what I'm doing, they all have whiteboards, and I just use CVC cards, so it has a picture, just a CVC word, and I lay the picture down in front of them, and they have to write the word out. And if the word is spelled right, and they can pronounce it right, they get like a token. So I'm almost thinking like a little game, and as the tokens rise, like as they go through, they can see like if they're winning. However, they're not allowed to go, I'm beating you, or whatnot. If they do that, then they lose a token. So it's a way for them to kind of focus on spelling, but it's a way where they each have a different card. So it's not like I lay a picture of a cat and they're all writing cat and they're looking on each other's board. So they can't do that. They have to write their own, and what we do is I ask them to spell it. We flip the card over. If it's right and they pronounce it right, then they get the token, and we go around through each student.
All right, thank you.
So I'm working with Chris on this one, cover and slide, which is definitely like a guided reading strategy, but we found a way to like creatively make it a phonics strategy where we kind of just focus it on just like more like the letter accuracy. We're trying to help them more of like using their hand to help them blend. And I honestly think it's just like, it's a great way to like, if you can't really see it, but the stretchy snake strategy is right below it. So it's kind of giving them both in one, just trying to exceed, because they need more than one strategy. And like I've noticed that some kids, they've been trying it for weeks now, but even just the stretch snake is like not their best. So hoping that cover and slide give them another avenue to just use something while they're reading. We've been practicing specifically with just CBC words, but I can see it like moving on into like the full blown out guided reading strategy with the words or like chunking and stuff like that. It's been cool. It's been working really well.
I use it in my guided reading in the book, and the kids like it.
Yeah, and I think it would be a better hit like starting next week when Rihanna starts to use it for a guided strategy, so they'll get the thought of it from the
something
phonics.
different.
Right.
A chunky monkey.
Right.
I was thinking.
That's how I'm trying to
Yeah, they can be using it in conjunction with chunky monkeys.
Yeah.
Like just covering up and just looking at one chunk of the word and then moving. So it works.
All right, so does anyone else have a poster that you brought or anything that you wanted to share that's working?
Thanks to your PD, there was a poster, well, a strategy called Get Your Eyes Ahead of the Word. And so, yeah. I chose that one because our group is working on fluency, and they seem to have a very good understanding of phonics and digraphs and sight words because that's what we've been working on. But still, when they read it, it's very disfluent. When it comes to a long word that needs to be chunked, they're getting stuck and sitting there word solving for like 30 seconds. And so I'm thinking, during step testing, that's going to kill you. So, not literally, but so what we do to scaffold it, getting your eyes ahead of the words, and for me to be able to see how their eyes are moving, they use these fingers, which I normally use for younger kids to get them engaged in reading. But it's a good visual for me to see the way that their eyes are tracking. So like if they're reading like, then he went down to the store, that gives me an idea that they're not looking at the whole sentence smoothly, they're reading word by word. And so we use that for the visual to kind of scaffold until they get to the place where they're understanding that you read smoothly. Like some of the scholars saw their videos and they're like, oh, my finger is moving smoothly, like good job on me. And then some of them saw their videos and were alarmed because to them when they were reading, they felt like it was smooth. And then when they saw it and they heard it, it kind of like woke them up. So that was really good. So now they're much more intentional about making sure their finger is tracking smoothly, and some of them have just stopped and they're like, okay, I got this. Like I know how to keep my eyes moving smoothly from line to line. And when they come to a word that is very difficult, they understand how important skippy frog is now, and so they'll kind of like skip over and continue reading. And like, oh, due to context, they can solve it based off of the sound that they didn't know. So it's been really helpful. Only been trying that for a week, so thank you guys. But we'll keep it going.
All right, thank you for sharing. So I do have a video, but for the sake of time, I'm probably going to save it for next week. But it's a video of Robbie teaching the what's the exact name of it, Robbie?
5-finger retail.
The 5-finger retail. It's really cool, and I think it's a strategy that everyone should try, but I'll save that for next week. We're out of time. So the last thing that I wanted to do, just from all of the student support meetings that I've had, as well as looking within classrooms, we have a sight word gap as a school. And so I just wanted to talk to you guys about what you guys think we can do. So some strategies, whole school and within classrooms, to kind of close this gap. Like a lot of our kids that are at the step 3 level, they're at the step 3 level because of sight words. It's sight words that are holding them back from being able to read. So we do have a spelling bee that we kind of threw on the calendar last year during planning, but we never really